There was an article about what incoming quarterbacks. Is that what you saw from Tom Luganbill and Craig Hubbard?
Yes, incoming quarterbacks, 2023 recruits at some big name programs, basically. Some of the top name quarterbacks at these schools. Although they did leave out Arch Manning, so
They left out Arch Manning.
they left out Arch Manning. Yep.
So,
but to be fair, these aren't incoming quarterbacks. Excuse me. These are incoming top recruits players. These are top players that comparing them to other great players. So to be fair, I think this is part of the reason they left out Arch Manning is that I don't really think there's a high ceiling player that has recently played at Texas that you would want you would expect Arch Manning to surpass everybody that's played quarterback at Texas since Vince Young or Colt McCoy, put it that way.
Oh, no love for Quinn Ewers,
No.
Which I understand. Okay, so Craig Wings, today's tough question. Do you expect Nico Iamaleava to be better than Hendon Hooker? What about this? First time we've ever done this. This makes my day. I may shut down the show and take the rest of the day off because if you come up with a poll that's exactly 50-50, then you've done something. Right now, we're exactly 50-50. So the two options for the Craven Wings today's tough question is, yes, Nico, much more talented. Nope, Hendon was great. Right now, it is exactly 50-50. Exactly 50-50. So mash the like button and share your thoughts. And I was playing around with the Restream YouTube, and I think I can share your thoughts on the screen, but it could be a complete disaster. So we'll see how that goes. I might cut Caleb off. I might be off the air. Who knows? But do you expect Nico Iamaleava?
Iamaleava.
Sorry, that is my fault. Nico, get me right. Oh, I think I just turned down. Iamaleava. So, do you expect him to be better than Hendon Hooker?
I'm going to go out and say it, yes. And I love Hendon Hooker, guys. I am a huge fan. I believe in him in the NFL because of his intangibles. But this isn't about Hendon Hooker. This is about Nico Iamaleava being, as I've said, the best quarterback you could possibly find to run this system. This is, everybody thought in the early 90s that Shane Matthews was an amazing quarterback for Steve Spurrier. Everybody was high on Shane Matthews. And then a guy named Danny Werfel came and turned out to be better than Shane Matthews. And
well, let's review that for just a second.
Okay.
Danny Werfel, why was he the perfect quarterback for Spurrier? So he would stand in there and take a hit. He was tough as nails. And he would deliver it on time. Didn't have great accuracy, didn't need it. But that was in many ways a downfield option attack. Somewhat like Josh Heupel's. And then you read the safety and then you made your break. And Danny Werfel made that read, boom, delivered it on time. A lot of quarterbacks physically could have done that, but with the fact that they had 5 receivers going out, he took a lot of hits. So a lot of quarterbacks probably wouldn't have held up and probably wouldn't have wanted to hold up. But he was able to do that. Now, why do you tell me that, and I know why, but for discussion's sake, why do you tell me that Hendon Hooker is practically lab made for a Josh Heupel offense? And I agree with you. I just
Nico, not Hendon.
Oh, Nico, excuse me. Hendon's close, but Nico's better. But go ahead.
Hendon is very close, but Hendon had to develop a deep ball. He had to develop it over time.
Thank you. You're absolutely
Nico
right.
has it. And Nico has, this is the big thing. Hendon didn't just develop a deep ball. He had to develop pocket presence. If you remember, he took a lot of sacks in 2021 because his awareness in the pocket wasn't there. Nico, from all the reports, by all accounts, is incredible in the pocket, is very, very good at knowing where to move and where to step. He may not be as fast as Hendon Hooker, although I think he might be. I've heard some reports that he actually might be pretty fast, too, if he needs to scramble. But
Nico is faster than Hooker?
I think Hooker's faster, but I think Nico is fast enough, and I think he might be as fast or close to it, from what I've heard.
People I've talked to at camp say he's deceptively fast because he's a long strider.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's deceptively fast, as you said. He can move in the pocket. He already has that pocket presence already there with his mobility, and the deep ball is just so beautiful. And Josh Heupel's offense, an accurate deep ball is one of the most is the most important thing in Josh Heupel's offense. And I don't think anybody in college football has a more accurate deep ball coming in this year than Nico Iamaleava. And that includes Arch Manning, who may be a better quarterback overall. But if you need a deep ball, you need Nico.
I'm going to throw something out there that you didn't mention that I think is as significant of all the things that you mentioned, and maybe even more so. I think he gets the ball out fast. I think he gets. I think his release is uber quick, and I think it's a hair second quicker than Hendon Hooker. I do think it's significantly quicker. And go ahead and start with the Dave's a Joe Milton hater. I think it's incredibly quicker than Joe Milton. And as Smoky Mountain Red points out, mobile and accurate are the two big ones. I agree with that. The accuracy sounds crazy, but it's not incredibly important because guys are running so bare so often in this offense. And I think they'll continue to do so because the defensive backs are going to be confused. Now, the defenses that Tennessee plays will do a better job of playing that high tempo style against the Vols. But still, it is going to be tough to man up with that, kind of like the triple option that Georgia Tech used to run. And it was like or the option attack that Georgia Tech used to run. You had to prepare for that back in the day. So you got to prepare for this, and Tennessee's always going to have an advantage. I can't say, though, Caleb, as much as I want to agree with you, that Nico is going to be better than Hendon Hooker, because Hendon Hooker should have been a Heisman finalist. He was on my ballot. Was the SEC Player of the Year. Set all kinds of passing records. In other words, what I'm saying is I agree with everything you said about how Nico is absolutely tailor-made for this offense. I believe that Tennessee will have good receivers that will fill in for the Jalen Hyatts of the world. But I can't say that somebody's going to be that much better when the bar's that high. So I'm going to say no, that he'll be very good. He will have 2.5 years of Hendon level talent, but I'm going to say no, that as a whole, his ceiling will not be better than Hendon Hooker just because it was so high. And I mean that as a compliment and not a shot at Nico, who I think everybody knows that I love. Everybody says that I'm a Nico lover and a Joe hater. Now it appears as if Caleb has someone who's on the message board who's saying he's a huge Hooker fan. So we both now have our biases. But what do you think about, it's so high. The ceiling is so high, Caleb.
It's high, but I'm going higher because there's another guy who may be the greatest quarterback in NFL history that went to Tennessee. And I think Nico will be the greatest quarterback in Tennessee history when it's all said and done. That's my bar. No, he won't. I don't think he'll be better than Peyton in the NFL. I don't think that's going to happen. But at Tennessee, I think Nico Iamaleava will set. I think Iamaleava will set the standard at Tennessee of quarterbacks. I think, and here's the things. The one thing you have me with, and we'll say this, Hooker developed a deep ball. Hooker developed pocket presence. He did that because he has incredible intangibles. We can't measure Nico's intangibles yet. We know Hooker's intangibles. They are incredible. Work ethic, leadership.
Well, that helps my argument.
No, I agree. And I was going to bolster your argument with that. That's what makes it tricky is I believe Nico has great intangibles. I see no reason to think he doesn't. But there's no way you can have better intangibles than Hooker. You can only have as good of intangibles as Hendon Hooker. Does that make sense? You can't have better intangibles. It's impossible.
Right.
And that is a huge thing in Hooker's favor. I still believe in Nico, though. And here's the big one. Here's where accuracy comes into play. Remember the Georgia game last year where Cedric Tillman couldn't get separation. Jalen Hyatt couldn't get separation. They tried to sneak Princeton Fant out, and Georgia was ready every time they did that. Remember when they did all those plays trying to get separation? Well, with Hooker, you needed the receivers to beat their man and just be 10 yards open downfield. I think Nico has the level of accuracy where if you got a decent sized receiver, there's a good chance you could throw it to a guy who's well covered when you're playing Georgia, even if he doesn't get separation, and just trust him to make a 50-50 ball. And you couldn't really do that with Hendon as much.
No, that's fair. So everybody's beating up on me saying I'm campaigning for Nico to be the starter And Dave, why do you hate Milton? I don't. The best story right now for this team and this team's morale and ability to have success is that Joe Milton grabs this job and he's the guy through December. That is the best thing that could happen for not only Joe, but for the program and for this show. That's the bottom line, because I know that a quarterback controversy gets people talking, but at the end of the day, Tennessee being more successful gets a lot of people talking. So now I'm not campaigning.
And for the record, just because I saw the little tag going across. If Joe wins the job over Nico, it's going to be because he didn't lose a job and he has the locker room. This isn't about learning the offense. Again, any quarterback's going to pick up this offense by fall camp. It's an easy offense to pick up, as you pointed out, Dave.
It is. And we had somebody else that pointed that out too. It was Travis, said the offense is incredibly easy. Issue will be if he can handle all the stardom. I agree with that. And we've got a knock-knock joke. Knock, who's there? Dave. Dave who? Dave hates Joe. I don't hate Joe. But a little bit of backup. Smoky Mountain Red says, is it wrong to say I really like two hookers? No, but you usually have to pay like triple for that.
Well, between Dave and Hendon, Joe, hookers seem to be the reason Joe keeps losing his job.
Right. That's the issue. Now, SC Scout Guy does bring up a good point. And I think SC Scout Guy is more of a South Carolina fan. So I always love getting perspective from other fan bases. He says, man, I feel bad for this kid. He has almost impossible expectations. He does. And
who doesn't embrace expectations, who's not great.
Well, yeah, but this is a little goofy in that he's a midterm guy. He's making all this money. It's a little ridiculous. I think he's fine, but you never know. I thought Jonathan Crompton was fine in 2005. I thought he'd sit out the year because of an injury and redshirt and come back and compete to be the starter, and really never happened until his senior year. And he was largely broken down by that coaching staff and by the expectations. So,
well, the switching coordinators didn't help.
Yeah. No, it certainly did not.